It's the Property Hour. I'm Clive Bull. With me, Kate Faulkner and Russell Conway. And more of your questions coming. 0345 6060 973. Now, thanks to Direct Line Landlord Insurance. Today we're talking about the importance of landlords having the right legal documents in place. Christina Dimitrov from Direct Line is here to tell us more. Hi, Christina.
Hello, Clive. Thanks for having me tonight.
Thank you very much for joining us. So tell us about the type of legal documents landlords need to think about when they're renting out their property.
So there are three types of legal documents that every landlord may encounter at some point in time. Most essentially, we've got tenancy agreements, where we usually have 6-month short hold agreements or 12-month agreements as a slight variation. There are then, of course, deposit schemes which the landlord has to notify the tenant about. And of course, there are a large number of contracts that are connected to rent arrears. Now, to just give you two examples, we've got a Section 21 notice, which is a legal eviction notice that a landlord can give to regain repossession of a property, but that happens at the end of an assured short hold tenancy. Now, a slight variation of that is the Section 8 notice, which, if the tenancy agreement has been broken during term time, can be issued.
Now, if you got one agreement already, can you just then adapt it from tenancy to tenancy?
Well, Clive, the most important thing to notice here is that in general, if you don't have a proper tenancy agreement in place and things do go wrong, it may be quite difficult to gain repossession of a property, because if the right documentation is not in place, you could face a lot of additional costs to just rectify the problems as a result of that. And now Direct Line has conducted a bit of research, and that's shown that 13% of landlords have experienced disputes arising from a tenant's rental contract in the last 2 years in the UK. Now, this research further has shown that landlords who don't use an agent at the moment, what they tend to do is, if you like, recycle old contracts. 58% of those have used old agent contracts, and other landlords have, got the contract from another landlord, friend, family, or they found them online. The big problem with these is they haven't been professionally reviewed. There may have been changes to legislation. We've all heard there are constantly changes to legislation, but also the individual circumstances arising from a tenancy may not have been included in this contract.
So what kind of things can go wrong then if you haven't got the right paperwork in place?
Well, quite simply, it can cost the landlord a lot of money. Now, there's been a survey conducted by Landlord Action in 2014, and it found that 62% of eviction notices issued by landlords or their agents have been incorrect and invalid. Now, a couple of very common mistakes include invalid expiry dates, inaccurate information, but also seemingly minor things like typing errors or the wrong method of servicing this notice. Now, it's important that these errors, even these seemingly small errors, can put the entire repossession claim at risk. And in the worst case, the whole repossession process can turn against the landlord if the tenant decides to claim against the landlord for harassment or even unlawful eviction. Now, all of that can be very costly, very frustrating.
Well, absolutely. I mean, it seems common sense. What is stopping landlords doing this then?
Well, especially small landlords seem to perceive that using a traditional solicitor to prepare those legal documents, review them, is a high financial burden. So to give you an example of the costs they may face, the average charge for a tenancy agreement may be around £250, and getting legal help for evicting tenants can cost a landlord £1,000 or even more. So in a way, landlords try to avoid these costs. They try to handle the eviction process themselves, and it may have disastrous results.
So where can landlords go then if they want to make sure they've got all the right documents?
There's a number of options. As I mentioned earlier, they can use a traditional high street solicitor. And nowadays, of course, there are a lot of online companies that can offer standard templates to be used. Another quite smart alternative comes from Direct Line. Direct Line Landlord Insurance earlier this year launched a new legal document service. The service, it's important to note, it's available as standard, it's for new and renewing customer. And what it does is it provides documents quickly through an online tool, accredited solicitors review the documents and amend them if required. So it's a good way for landlords to save time and money.
OK, well, Christina, thank you very much indeed.
Thank you.
And thanks to Direct Line Landlord Insurance. And for more information and for the chance to win a tech bundle, go to lbc.co.uk. The Property Hour here on LBC.